2025 meeting of the HRA, Brainerd HRA Board of Commissioners to order. And with that, roll call has or is going around. I would like to acknowledge our special guest, City Administrator Nick Royals. Thank you for being here, Nick. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting, today's meeting.
So move, Yeager.
Erickson, second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That item passes. We are now on to presentation on the Brainerd HRA 2024 audit. And Eric, would you want us to kick this off, or shall we go right to our guest?
Certainly happy to introduce, we actually have Mary Reedy and Mallory Carlson from CLA here, and they are going to go through and walk through our audit. You should have copies of that material in front of you if you so choose to follow along, and I will let Mary or Mallory, whoever wants to dig in, go ahead and start.
And welcome.
Yes, thank you for having us today. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so we got done with the audit. We've been done with it for a couple months now. Just kind of waiting on the meeting times to align up. Thank you for having us remote today. Something did come up for Mallory and I, but we would like to go ahead and walk through the PowerPoints like we do all the time. We'll go through the PowerPoint. Everything in there ties back to the financial statements. For any time have questions, definitely can be in open dialogue. We'll go through the agenda, and then we'll wrap it up with some closing items. So we'll go through the required communications, the audit results, financial results, and then any key issue or summary items that came from the audit. Page there. So the required communications. So our primary responsibility as auditors is write an opinion on the fairness of the financial statements. We do review internal accounting controls. We want to make sure that they're in place and that they're working. We do a risk-based audit approach. We don't test every transaction, but we do some detail level transaction testing and then some higher level testing, current year to prior year, current year to budget. If anything looks out of the ordinary, then we go ahead and in deeper to those areas. Significant accounting policies, which are going to be made outlined in note of the financial statements. New standards for this year was GASB 101, compensated absences. So we'll just change the way we looked at compensated absences and the way we booked them. So we worked with management on that to get a reasonable estimate booked on the financial statements this year. Page 4. Of course, within the bound document, there are going to be some management judgments and accounting estimates. Corrected adjustments. So with the changeover to the new software, there was an adjustment to depreciation expense that had been carried forward for a few years. Just picked this year to go ahead and reconcile that. So that will go away next year. The adjustment for about $87,000 there. And then net position was understated for the comp abs adjustment by about $2,000. So that was corrected as well, and will be reported correctly going forward. A lot of that was due to the new standard issue. Page 5 there. No disagreements with management. No difficulties encountered in performing the audit. We were able to get all of our information right away up front. Helped us turn around the audit fairly quick. Page 6, significant unusual transactions. So as you look at your financial statements, within the business type activities, so your housing choice voucher, public housing, and your bridges program did combine those all into one fund, and then left the trail ridge as a separate fund. So as you look through there, you'll see that changed from prior year. So you'll see just the 2 columns instead of the 4 or 5 that we normally have. But then if you look way in the back, we still show them individually, just so that you can see those at year end, kind of keep track of them separately HUD still does require them to be reported as separate funds, so we'll keep that going forward. And within the PowerPoint, you'll see that we keep them separate funds too, so you can kind of see the activity of each one. We definitely want to make sure that you're given that information as well. So then Trail Ridge coming in is also a component unit, so we're just bringing in that information, just kind of letting you know that. Page 7, overall the audit results here, so an unmodified opinion, so highest level of assurance that us as auditors can give. Compliance and internal control, no findings noted. Again, management is able to segregate duties, they're able to review the financial statements, so overall very clean audit. We did have to test a single audit program. You did spend more than $750,000 in federal dollars, so we do additional testing. Usually it's the Housing Choice Voucher Program, but this year actually the Public Housing Capital Fund had significant expenditures in there, so we did actually test that program. And with that testing, we found no issues noted, so very clean there. Minnesota legal compliance, we come in and test all of those programs and no findings noted either. Okay. So on page 8, we go into the actual financial results here. So general fund revenues and expenditures. So revenues at $876,000 over revenues from prior year. And a lot of that had to do with your management fees. Overall revenue came in over budget by about $109,000. Management fees made up about $66,000 of that. Expenditures at $775,000. Those were lower than last year, but about $3,900 above budget. So when you look overall, your fund balance is just over $1 million. And you can see up on the graph there that fund balance in that green category has gone up slightly each year. So very positive results there. Page 9. We'd like to break out the housing rehab activity just so that you can kind of monitor that and track that. Otherwise, it's kind of blended into those financial statements. So miscellaneous income at $120,000, very similar to prior year. Federal revenue similar, grant revenue as well. Expenditures a little bit less money coming in. So overall cash ended with a positive $304,000. So that is being tracked separately throughout the year. Page 10 here, the TIF fund revenues. 2022, you did pay off that debt. So now what you're doing is just collecting money to try and bring up that fund balance. You can leave it open until the grant or until the TIF window is closed. So I think the hope is to go ahead and get that fund balance up to as close to zero as possible. So you'll just keep collecting that TIF revenue year over year. So right now, all the way up to a negative $102,000. So very positive results you can see from 2022 till now. So page 11, debt service fund revenues. Then in 22, again, that was paid off. So we'll probably go ahead and get rid of this graph now that there won't be any activity in the debt service fund. Page 12. So public housing fund operations, so this is just that piece of it. So the public housing fund here, you can see that expenses in the light blue actually came in over a little bit higher than revenues even compared to last year. So gradually your expenses are getting a little bit higher than your revenues there. Intergovernmental revenue came in at about $1 million there, so a lot of your funding comes through that. So your overall net loss was about $398,000, and then overall you did lose cash of about $151,000. So just continue to monitor that fund. The next fund, page 13, is your Housing Choice Vouchers Fund. There you can see your revenues and expenditures are pretty well matched here. You had about a $9,000 loss of cash flow from operation. You had about a negative $114,000 change in net position, and then a decrease overall in cash of about $5,800. So we're kind of similar, and revenues and expenditures pretty much matching overall. The next one is the Trail Ridge 2 fund operations. There just kind of gives you the activity overall highlight. You can see revenues coming in higher than they've been in the past, along with expenditures. You'll also notice that your unrestricted net position is growing pretty significantly since 21. So definitely trending in the right way there. So page 15. Authority outstanding debt, so you paid off the debt in 2022. You do have the $450,000 one-time note that will come due, that will be paid off when it comes up. Okay. Page 16. So again, collecting quite a bit of management fee here, about $373,000 in total. When you look at what Brainerd South, Growing HRA, and Crosby HRA, that comes into the Brainerd HRA for managing those books. Page 17. Just continue to monitor that TIF district. You want to make sure that you're staying in compliance with the state statutes there. General fund had net income approximately $107,000. Increase in state funding, and like I talked about, the increase in management fees, and then your advances to other funds actually decreased there. General fund has approximately $455,000 in unassigned fund balance, and then $180,000 of that is assigned for housing and redevelopment, specifically earmarked. Housing rehab talked about $305,000 cash there. Page 18. Public housing, increase in net position of $763,000. So intergovernmental revenue is about $1.5 million in total coming into that fund. You did acquire capital assets of about $1.1 million, so that's where a lot of your revenue or cash goes out. A negative cash flow of about $151,000. Your housing choice vouchers had a decrease about $110,000, and we talked about that negative cash flow of about $5,700. Bridges rental assistance had an increase in that position of about $15 there. You did transfer to the general fund for those admin costs of about $10,425. So negative cash flow of about $45, but in total you ended with zero, which is what you're aiming for in that Bridges fund there. Trail Ridge 2 had an increase in that position about $26,000, and they were able to get their advance off. I know that had been on the books for several years, and that is now gone. So that was a brief overview. Hopefully no surprises. You know, as you guys are going to month, I know that Karen's able to get you very accurate information, but I didn't know if there were any follow-up questions, concerns.
Thank you, Mary. Any questions of our auditor report? Yes, Commissioner Yeager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This question might be more for John, but on page 8, the decrease in expenditure to the lesser upgrades to housing was for last year. Is this an anomaly? Is this a trend that we're seeing that is a predictable trend? Because it seems exactly backwards to me. In the general fund revenues on page 8. So I'm talking about the decrease in expenditure.
Sorry, I didn't have a copy of the report.
Oh, sorry.
Karen
So
just
sorry.
shared it with me. So I'd say that's a normal variance,
Okay.
just as projects come and go.
Okay.
A lot of times we'll save capital fund dollars or for larger projects, which is exactly what we had done previously for the work that's ongoing at North Star.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it seems like with our the climate of our local climate of our economy would suggest that this should be incrementally going the opposite direction. So I was just curious. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none, Mary, thank you very much for your report to us today. We miss having you in person. So, but thank you
Yes.
again.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Meredith as well?
Okay, thank you for having us.
You bet. Okay, with that, we're now on to item 5, approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting on April 16th, 2025. Looking for a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion for Coda.
Dakota, is there a second?
Second, Jaeger.
Jaeger, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We're on to unfinished business. There is none. We have mopped everything up. So we're now on to new business item 7A, housing management positions discussion. Eric, I believe that's your item.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. That is on page 7. It is up on your screens for you to review. As you know, in April, we lost our housing director. Shannon did leave our agency, and so we did post that housing director's position in anticipation of her leaving. We did receive 9 applicants, which is good. And of those 9 applicants, we did interview 3 of them for that position. We did make 1 job offer to our top candidate, which was actually at the top of our hiring range. Unfortunately, that candidate did not accept the position, in part as what they told us, due to the wage and benefit package that we were offering. The other 2 candidates that we did interview, we didn't feel like they would have been a good fit for the housing director's position, so we subsequently removed that job posting and started to retool and look at what we really wanted to do moving forward. So our management team did meet. We reviewed the job description, and then we felt that since that top candidate did not accept that offer, that it would still be worth it to revisit our 2-tiered management system that we had prior to 2024. If you recall back, for those of you that were on the board, which I think is most of you, we did combine the housing department and created that director position at the end of 2023 when Shannon took that position. And then since then, the agency has brought back the management in-house of Valley View. And as you know, we will anticipate bringing in the Bring It Home program here towards the end of the year, kind of bringing in 2 different programs, one on the housing side and then one on the voucher or rental assistance side, really by the end of this year. As we look at it, to kind of give that staff or our staff the best opportunity to successfully implement, the Bring It Home program, we do think that the 2-tiered system is worth doing again and moving forward with. Obviously, keeping an eye on our stated goal of recruitment and retention, knowing that that is paramount and tantamount to us being successful. So we do plan on hiring 2 manager-level positions going forward. I do think that we've got that talent on staff right now, which is great. That would be qualified to step into both of those roles. We plan on posting that internally within the agency. Since those 2 positions were not part of our kind of wage study or wage analysis that we did last fall, we did go ahead and complete an analysis for our hiring range for these 2 positions. We did determine that that range would fall between about $37 and $42 an hour. As we've reanalyzed our wage and benefit package and applied that wage range to our budget, it does appear that we would fall just above what we had previously budgeted for throughout the rest of this year. It would exceed that by about a 1% overage for our wage and benefit that we had budgeted. We do have reserves that can be utilized for that overage for the year. In our wage analysis discussions from last fall, you likely will recall that we discussed making sure that we kind of adjusted, or I adjusted those wages and hiring ranges in real time as we have them come up, so we can continue to recruit and retain our staff. It's my request from the board to allow me to exceed our budgeted authority for wages and benefits so that we can move forward with posting and filling those positions. If we were at that high end, we would be adding about $18,000 to our bottom line throughout the rest of this year. Again, reflecting about a 1% variance from what we had approved in our budget run-up at the end of 2024. So my request, again, is just to exceed that budgeted authority by up to potentially $18,000 for that purpose of hiring both a housing manager and a rental assistance manager. I would open that up for any questions from the board or Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Eric. Any discussion? Mr. Jaeger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. When we created the listing for the applications, did it include the hourly compensation on there?
Yes.
Okay, so that would lead me to believe that it was not the hourly that was the issue, it was more of the benefit package, is that right? Would that be fair?
I would think that would be fair from the
Do
discussion.
you have a feel from that benefit package? Was it,
I think it was on the healthcare side.
okay, healthcare side? Okay, that was one of my questions. Is part of where you're hoping to go with this, on the ask on the, by raising up our compensation, would that be directly to the hourly, or would that be to a package that would
Sure.
get us to better insurance, get us to some?
Right.
Where I'm going is I'm trying to fix the problem surgically here, right?
Yep, absolutely. So as you know, we do piggyback on the benefits for the city of Brainerd, so we don't have a lot of bargaining power on the healthcare side of things. We have what we have with the city. So it wouldn't necessarily sweeten the benefit package on that side of things. It would speak directly to the hourly. Again, we didn't look at this when we did our analysis last fall because we didn't have those positions offered. So what we did is we kind of went back with our same methodology that we looked at in the fall and tried to plug in where our management level position would relate to our comparables, which
Right.
primarily is the city.
Right. And one more, Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes, please.
So, knowing what I know about giving people raises, like, in many cases, that tends to put other staff in a different, give the current staff that we currently have a different feel on this. So, my question for you is, as a director, do we feel like this is the right step to, have this new incoming employee potentially getting paid more? How is that going to affect our other staff? And is that beginning to throw some other metrics out of balance with existing staff? That's one of my concerns here is the staff as a total spectrum of compensation, most importantly, the ones we have.
For sure, and good question, something that we toiled with back and forth, and we have been toiling with for months now, right?
Okay.
As we do believe that we've got staff that's capable of filling these two roles, the good thing is that would be internal hires, hopefully, that's the intent. We also know as a whole, we've kind of put in place the structure that we did in the fall of starting to see those wages coming up where, I think through, nothing outwardly trying to hold down wages, but I think we have because we've been pretty fiscally conservative.
Right.
So this is one measure. Number one, new positions. If someone internally does not fill that, we would still externally have someone that would come in. I don't think it puts an undue burden, but it gives us a path to continuing to bring our wages in line with where we probably should have been keeping them.
Yeah, thank you. And where I'm going with this is my goal is to get them all in line, but I want them all to go in balance versus the teeter-totter effect of more here, now this person's underpaid and that. So that was my concern.
I think the method here created by the opening gives us an opportunity for this line, kind of this line of management.
Okay.
And, I would anticipate, depending on where budget is going to come in towards the end of the year, we would likely see another increase, certainly to get the rest of our staff up in line with closer to those percentages that we saw we were kind of out of whack on.
Compared to the city.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all.
Thanks for your questions, Mr. Yeager. Ms. Vakota?
I have a question. So they're gonna work with the Bring It Home program, correct?
So
And
rental assistance manager would primarily.
okay. And remind me, that program did allow for some. I'm getting after we could be reimbursed in the next year, in a sense,
For some training, potentially.
Yeah.
And nothing that we enter into now before we enter into a contract with Minnesota Housing can we kind of expense towards that, but potentially after that grant
Right.
is signed, there is ongoing training for current staff that's in place.
Okay.
We know that they're really hourly. We could just say we're not going to hire someone for another month and a half, and we would likely be okay. That wasn't what we want to do. Obviously, we want to put someone in place as soon as possible.
Good.
Thank you. Mr. Block or Ms.
I think
Decker?
we've talked often about how important staff retention is, and this could play a big part in that. Keeping people who already might be qualified candidates on staff already.
Ms. Decker, your thoughts
Just
on
one,
that?
oh, sorry.
Ms. Decker, do you have thoughts on that? Okay, thank you.
I had just one follow-up
Okay,
question,
yeah,
if you have a
Mr.
sec.
Young,
Thank you,
we'll
Mr.
come
Chair.
back to you.
So I just ease my mind here a little bit. So before, we felt that we needed an outside person to come in and help take this role. Now we're saying we don't need that person, we're gonna hire from within. So help me to understand how, we thought we had a gap before that needed an outside person. Now because it seems like we're gonna be asking people to take on, internal people to take on more tasks. We're still not hiring a person, we're just spreading it around, spreading more work around less people, correct?
Well, so we wouldn't be, depending on how that shakes out with internal, if we are successfully able to internally hire both
Okay.
positions, we would backfill likely one of those.
Backfill, okay, backfill one.
One,
Okay.
not two, but that would still keep us at the same FTEs that
Okay.
we're at. We believe that's likely
Okay.
is what we would be able to do. To your first part of the question, as we look at skill set, we certainly realize that, again, taking a second look at the other programs that we've added since we put this position together, we see that that right person who we did think and offered to would be able to work through, I think, the challenges that are out there for adding these programs. We thought that person could be successful. It's not that we wouldn't necessarily think that a singular person could do this, but we didn't see that in the first, round of applicants that came through. The other two that we hired did not have the skill sets that we felt would be conducive to actually being successful. So by splitting that back out where we had been, it creates the workload a little bit more, I think, manageable for each of those managers to kind of move forward, knowing that there's going to be some unknowns with bringing home and knowing that there are still some efficiencies we can get on the housing side.
Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All righty then. I like the approach of being able to offer promotional opportunities within. You've got a processor being able to evaluate the skill sets against the job requirements and what you think are. So I like that opportunity to give that approach first, and as I understand failing to have any interested candidates or qualifying, then we have the opportunity to then go out again and search another time for external candidates. I think it's a win-win approach for me, so I like the look of that. I would be looking for a motion to authorize the executive director to exceed the 2025 budget authority for wage and benefit up to $18,000 for the specific purpose of hiring a housing manager and rental assistance manager.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Becker. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. Now to the bridges.
Yes, I will be taking that as well, Mr. Chair. Yeah. That memo is up on the screen, also on page 9 of your packet, if you're following along on that. Finally received the announcement of funding that, if you recall back months ago, we had applied to continue on with the Bridges program that we've been administering for a number of years. It's a 2-year grant cycle from July 1st of 2025 through June 30th, 2027. We requested $258,596 for 13 vouchers a month. We were awarded $258,284, just shy of what we requested, so that is good. We are requesting that the board authorize us to administer the Bridges program for that grant period of July 1st of 25 through June 30th of 27 by adopting resolution number 2025-04. Just a couple of quick notes. If you recall, we did exceed our budgeted authority for our housing assistance payments through Minnesota Housing for the Bridges program. They did then come back and say that they would pay us, so they have been doing that. They're a little bit slow on that, but we do anticipate that they will fulfill their obligations to us. But I always do like to give the board a heads up on that. I don't think it's anything to be alarmed with, other than maybe being a little bit annoyed with it on the administrative side of things. They are running slow. We are going to continue to keep some pressure on them Because obviously we do not want to go into a new grant cycle with them still owing us money. But we are anticipating we'll get that. It's still a mission-driven program. We don't, as you saw in the audit, we don't make money off of this. We hope to be a net neutral program, but it does give opportunities to 13 households within the county that would not have that. So while it doesn't bring in a lot of revenue, zero, it does fit the mission of what we do in the organization. With that, I would open up to any questions.
Thank you, Eric. Questions for the director? Yes, Ms. Verkota.
So I get to go first. Does that, the minor hundreds of dollars change, does that change? Okay, great. Great minds. Does that change our number of vouchers we're giving out?
Where's the $312 coming from?
Yeah.
Come on now.
That's what we want to know.
Would come in the form of lower housing assistance payments, I do believe. We wouldn't be, and I will let Karen jump in on that.
Yeah, with this grant, we do have an other category for housing-related expenses where we can do security deposits. I would assume it'd come out of that. And then also for clarification, when they said that we had zero for bridges, that's because we transfer over any admin at the end of the year over to our general fund. We don't charge operating expenses, wages, benefits to bridges. We charge it to our general fund. So then we had, I think it was $10,425 that at the end of the year, the admin from bridges, we put into our general fund.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're not down a voucher.
And we're not pulling it out of our general fund either.
Sounds good to me.
All right, Mr.
That was my
Yeager.
question. We are truly net zero on this, not lost 312.
Net zero.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, fiscally net zero. Yeah.
Any other questions on this? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion to approve resolution number 2025-04 to administer the Bridges program for the dates shown here on the staff report.
I'll motion Deblock.
Deblock, is there a second?
I'll second for Coda.
For Coda, any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Charpentier, would you call roll on this, please?
Yes, Decker. Yes. Deblock.
Yes.
Duval.
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Yeager.
Yep.
Verkota.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. We are now on to staff reports. We have financial reports, and Karen, I believe that's yours.
Yes. We'll get my memo up on the screen. Obviously, we had Mary Reedy presenting our audit, so again, just a testament to the work that staff do throughout the year to have
Here, here.
it come back clean. So very pleased with that for another year. And then also to give the board an update on our Federal Capital Fund Program Award, which is our public housing grant that we receive for capital improvements, and then also we can pull out of that for operating expenses as well. It was up just over, or it is up just over 2.5% for this year, which equates to about $13,400. And so that's a total award of just over $526,000. So that again is an all-time high for us. So we'll take it for another year and do our capital improvements with. So we were thankful for that. Are there any questions at all regarding financials?
Questions of staff? Yes, please, Ms. Vakota.
Okay, but I think it was covered, that loss in the account balances on bridges, that's gonna be recouped then by that, what you were saying.
That is the anticipation, yes. And that's precisely why it's showing a negative balance, because they are slow to be paying us. But staff is reaching out. I will actually be reaching out as well to put a little added pressure on them.
Sounds great.
Poke.
Thank you.
Yet another poke. All righty. All right, thank you for that one report, Karen. I need I need a motion for approval of payments as presented.
So move, Yeager.
There's a second.
Second Deblock.
Deblock, any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, Karen. And we are on to the housing management report.
Yes. I will be taking that,
That
Mr.
is
Chair.
yours. Okay, thank
I
you.
will be
Eric.
taking that today. That starts on page 39 of your packet. Will be up on the screen momentarily. This is the housing voucher report, HCV program through the end of April. Our UMLs, unit months leased, was at 33.26. Can't get closer than what we needed on that, which is great. HAP utilization was at about 37.2%. Just a quick note on that, as we always remember, our HAP is the money going out for the assistance based off our budget that we get from the federal government. Unit months leased are how many of the vouchers we actually have out there. So we always want those two, ideally, those two would be the same number. Rarely, I don't think they ever actually are the same number. So to be at about 33%, a third of the way through the year, that's great. Our utilization up a little bit. That's a testament to, again, pricing across the market for rentals. We're having to pay more for our rental assistance out there in the market. As you remember, my little gripe about HUD last year was that they told us that this year our payment standards or our fair market rents have gone down in the county. I don't agree with that. We kept our payment standards the same as what we had in 2024. So this is really a reflection of that, because we get kind of prorated our money that we used last year, kind of get it prorated for this year, and then we get maybe an inflation factor. That inflation factor didn't keep up with where we're at. So we are using more funds for our rental assistance. That's not surprising, but that's going to show and be borne out through the rest of the year. Because of that, HUD is going to put us on their shortfall kind of list to work with us to make sure that we don't spend more than what we have. We will be in that probably on a monthly call, and that's not an alarming thing. There are many, many agencies throughout the country that continually go through shortfall. We just haven't had to do that. So it'll be a new exercise for us. We haven't had to work with that shortfall team, I don't think, really in the history that I've been around. Looking forward to it. Hopefully they got some good tips with us. What it's likely going to end up being is we won't be putting any vouchers on the street on the federal side. And that's why I kind of lean towards hopefully we can get the state vouchers sooner than the end of the year. If that were the case, then we could continue to get some voucher holders maybe on a program. So just a note about that. Good kind of, partial way, 1/3 of the year check up on that, and we'll see that coming through in the next few months. Bridges, nothing really to note since we've already talked about that. Going to be following up with Minnesota Housing on where their payments are. FSS still got 57 participants. 2 did come off for the end of or at the end of last month. One, these are always fun stories. Remember that FSS, family sufficiency, we're trying to get people off of the system. One family got a payout of $27,000 in their escrow account. Really great. They were on 0 HAP, so they weren't getting any housing assistance for over 6 months or at 6 months, and just by default, you have to exit the program. With that, they're going to be trying to get a down payment on a house. That $27,000 is going to go a long way towards that, we hope. Both of the individuals are employed, gainfully employed, doing well. This is a huge success. We love to celebrate those. The other one that's going off the FSS program for us, they're actually porting out to St. Cloud, so they can't stay on our program. It's a new mom with twins. She's moving to be closer to family. So again, good things for both of those participants. We do like to highlight that to the board so you can tell other people out there that this does happen. People do go off these systems. Any questions on any voucher-related issues?
Questions of staff? Hearing none, thank you for that report, Eric, and moving on to the housing management report.
Yes, I would love to take that as well, Mr. Chair. Page 41 of the packet there. As you'll see, vacancy report is attached on the ensuing pages at 100% on the public housing side. Valley View is at 100%, which we're really, really excited about. Continuing on with that. Ross program, not a whole lot happening quite yet. We do anticipate having Patsy coming back from leave very soon and jumping back into hopefully getting some good things going with Ross. I have not checked the Facebook page, so I cannot report on that. Any questions on the housing, public housing, and housing in general?
So we don't know how many times Ally checked in.
I do not.
Any questions on that report? Hearing none, thank you for that, Eric, and I think we're on to the rehab report with Mr. Schomer.
Thank you, Chair, to all members of the board. That memo is up on the screen, as you can see. We did get the application submitted for the Small Cities Development Program Streetscape application. That was due April 16th. It was in plenty of time. We were encouraged. We did get some questions from our deed representative on layout of the lighting and the number of counts for those fixtures. So that's definitely means we're being considered. So took that as good news. And we are supposed to find out by the end of the summer if we're awarded. So, and then our current projects, as you can see down there, we are moving through them. Our small cities continues to be our primary focus to get that grant fulfilled. We did have a bit of a setback. We had some rental rehab. One owner had 4 units and he did decide not to utilize the program. So Britt has been out actually knocking on doors and talking with people. So we continue to pursue those units there for completion. Any questions?
Questions of staff?
Thank you.
And I think I got bumped as a landlord, and perhaps Wayne as well, from Britt, I think, on that, looking for additional project opportunities there. So that communication certainly has gotten out, so just to confirm that.
No, thank you.
All right, well, thank you, John. So with that, we are at the Executive Director report. So back in your court, Eric.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My report is on page 49. It is up on the screen for you to view as well. One update on the sheet, and then a couple of verbals since the last time since I submitted this report. Wright Street Extension. That is a piece of property within Brainerd proper, over by the by the county fairgrounds. I'm certain we've talked about that in some of our strategy sessions as a potential. It's city owned. There's about 46 acres, 20 acres on one parcel and 26 on another that are available. It's listed on the EDA's website. Brainerd EDA. They have been trying to market this property, and we're wondering if there might be an opportunity for some housing out there. So I have spoken with Councilman and Commissioner Yeager a little bit about that opportunity potentially. We actually did host a developer in our office, and John and I were talking to that developer. They're looking for some more land to hopefully build single-family homes. This might be an opportunity for some single-family. As the consultant with the EDA has laid it out, there is a potential, we think, for single family in between those two parcels. So we just wanted to chat with that developer, see if there was any tacit interest in it, and they seemed to be interested. They decided, or they said that they were going to be driving out that direction. After they got done meeting with us, they were enthused about a potential opportunity. We don't know what we could potentially convey that to us for, if it is for a nominal amount or for an amount to cover commissions or things like that. We have not approached the EDA at this point yet. They are really the ones that have the control over that, but wanted to at least get the general discussion out there and then let you guys know that we are trying to foster and get some interest in some further development. There's been some other discussion in and around the city and with the HRA of additional multifamily in the city of Brainerd as well, which is great. So we're trying to, I think, court some development and get some more meetings out there to push some of these properties that we know are available that could be potentially acquired for a relatively low amount of dollars, and we know that that is what really has been helpful in helping push our development initiatives as well. So just want to get it on your radar, make sure that you know that we are looking at that, and if you have any developers that you encounter, please send them our way to have discussions about this or any other properties within the city of Brainerd. Kind of dovetailing on that, as I was discussing this opportunity with Commissioner Yeager, he also has been on multiple different boards and commissions in the city of Brainerd throughout the years, and knows a good amount about the property that is held by the city or the parks or whatnot. And he brought up another potential opportunity for development, as we know, the Parks Department is not necessarily looking for new or additional land at the moment to manage, and that actually they are potentially looking at divesting in some of their properties. There is an opportunity in northeast Brainerd on a very small, really underdeveloped park property that we did go to the park board yesterday just to express interest in potentially seeing what we could do out there. It's not a lot of acreage. It's not acres. It's some city lots. And I would just maybe let Commissioner Yeager speak to that as well, and just again putting it on your radar.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Charpentier. Yeah, so I'll just, it was the conversation was very well received, I think, by the park board. Technically, the park board does not, is not the controlling entity on this particular parcel. Gustafson Park is actually what we're talking about here. Gustafson in Northeast. The city, some time ago, back in 2023, did give controlling interest to the park board on most of their parks, but did retain controlling interest on a few parks that they thought in the future might be a potential development opportunity. Gustafson was one of those. However, Mr. Charpentier and I started the conversation with the park board yesterday just as the entry point to being respectful of all parties, as it is currently maintained and operated right now by the park board. So I think the long-term vision here would be not so much to have the park board give us that land and then we go off and find a builder, but more along the lines of maintain it while we try to find a builder. And then if the stars were to align, know ahead of time that we did have entities such as the park board, city council on board to quickly convene that property over to a developer. So that's kind of the mindset. There are some other opportunities around Buffalo Hills. There's a fair amount of land that the parks maintain or operate that you don't even know about. Trails Head is one of them out towards the northern side of town, Buffalo Hills, Gustafson, some of those others. So interesting possibilities. So that's what we were talking about.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Yeager. So again, as we get an eye towards projects that we can try to move forward sooner rather than later, we're going to continue to work with developers, try to find ways to convey land and obviously purchase land, but we're working with a pretty limited budget that we do have for that. So the more economical that we can get into these properties for, the better for us long term. So more to come. Excited about those opportunities. We'd be happy to chat more about that in the future as well. Other couple things that just want to update real quick. Again, to Karen's team on the finance side, wonderful job with audit. That is all. I mean, we can't say that enough. I can't say that enough is how integral it is for her team to have that clean audit come back, for the agency to have these clean audits, and for all of our staff to be involved with it. We know it's not just finance team, but they lead the charge. Everything kind of runs through finance. So very, very thankful for that continued effort to her and her team. And then just an update, we still are looking for one commissioner. I do know that we've got one applicant that is out there that just submitted an application. I want to say it was last week. Did confirm that with the city staff. So there is an applicant out there. Whether or not that gets acted on sooner rather than later, I can't certainly. I don't have that ability to make that go one way or the other. But we have at least an applicant. We'd love to get that board filled out for everybody, and we're trying. With that, I would cede any questions or cede that back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Eric. I share a lot of excitement with the Wright Street extension and the Gustafson Park options. Our next strategic plan report back is next month. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
So we're looking at, well, quite frankly, Outlots E and F are progressing well towards implementation. So top priority that we identified in our strategic plan is on a healthy track. And it's begging for what's next in the queue. And I would almost ask all of us to kind of look at that strategic plan again before next month's meeting, and to Director Charpentier's request for ideas of what things we might be doing related to the Wright Street or other ideas. If we could come prepared so we get that quarterly update on the strategic plan, we might be able to then make some suggestions and have some discussion around what are the next priorities. And I think that's also timely for our request for levy dollars. And that's overlaying time-wise the same thing. So to be having something that we can express to our city council that says these are our priorities as we see them for additional funding would be helpful. So I think next month's meeting is pretty important to start to gel some things here on where we're heading next. Other discussion items or questions of Director Charpentier on his report? Okay. Hearing none, thank you, Eric, for that. We are now on to commissioner comments, and Mr. Erickson, can I start with you?
Yeah, I'm excited about fulfilling from within on those positions. I think that's a wise direction to go. Good job. Let's get them filled.
Thank you. Mr. Yeager.
Yeah, just ever since I've been on this authority, it's been rinse and repeat on a clean audit. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much to our staff. I'm sure there's way more hours that goes into this than I can even fathom. But thank you for all the hard work that you guys do with this and for putting us in a good spot. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ricotta.
Well, you took mine.
Darn it.
Can I say ditto? Yeah, ditto. Thank you for your hard work there. It's nice to go through and not have like questions that need to be answered on an audit. So, great.
Thank you. Ms. Decker. Thank you, Ms. DeBlock.
Ditto, and ditto. Also excited about the Bridges program because that does have a direct trickle down to our whole community. And I see it every day in my job, so it's an important program.
Excellent, thank you. And I will take the opportunity to simply ditto the dittos because it goes, it's sort of unseen work that shows up in a table and a graph, but the amount of work in those tables and graphs and the amount of accounts that we have and the amount of oversight or restrictions on each of the funds that you manage that's a hard juggling act.
Yes.
And so, Ms. Young, thank you very much for the work that you and the staff do, and it trickles down through the entire organization by how information is reported, gathered, processed, and brought up so it gets assimilated into this accounting system. And so it's just a terrific reflection on the agency that we get these unblemished audits all the time, and I think it can give confidence to anyone that looks at the Brainerd HRA to say, is the work that they do relevant, and is the work they do responsible, and is the work that they do in managing the funds that they're allotted being done appropriately. And I think yes. So thanks again for reflecting so well on the Brainerd HRA. Next meeting scheduled June 25th, 2025. So with that, I would be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Erickson, motion to adjourn.
Second for Coda.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you very much, everybody, and